He slammed the door open so hard that every glass vial on the shelf rattled. "Where is my grade, huh? You think you can fail me and get away with it?" he shouted, his voice echoing through the chemistry lab. Mrs. Carter didn't even flinch. She calmly capped the beaker she was holding and looked straight into his eyes. "Ethan, you need to calm down. This isn't the way to talk." "Don't tell me what to do," he snapped, stepping closer until she could feel his breath. His hand shot up, gripping her throat. The other students froze. No one dared move. The hum of machines filled the silence. Her eyes didn't show fear, just control. She didn't even raise her voice when she said, "Let go, now." But Ethan only smirked. "Nobody's coming to save you." For a second, there was nothing but tension. Then she whispered back, "I don't need saving." Her tone changed, sharp, cold, commanding. She gripped his wrist with such precision that he gasped. A twist, a shift in her stance, and his body hit the floor before anyone realized what happened. Every student in the room stared, speechless. She stood over him, steady as ever, while he clutched his arm in pain. Nobody had ever seen Mrs. Carter like that. The quiet chemistry teacher who never raised her voice had just taken down the HOA president's son in 3 seconds flat, and she didn't even look surprised by it. It was like she'd done this before, many times. The whole lab was shaking. Not from an explosion, but from silence. Ethan lay there, still stunned, trying to catch his breath. Mrs. Carter didn't say a word. She calmly picked up the beaker that had rolled across the floor and placed it back on the shelf. When the principal arrived minutes later, the first thing he saw was Ethan on the ground and Mrs. Carter standing over him like nothing had happened. "What happened here?" he demanded. Before she could answer, Ethan jumped in, shouting, "She attacked me! She tried to kill me!" The principal's eyes widened. "Mrs. Carter, is that true?" Her tone was calm, almost too calm. "You might want to check the security cameras before deciding that." But before the principal could respond, 2 security guards stepped in. And one of them whispered something into his ear. Whatever it was, it made him pale. Still, he tried to cover it up. "We'll handle this internally," he said nervously. Ethan smirked, brushing dust off his shirt. "You're done here, lady. My mom's on the HOA board. She'll make sure you lose your job before lunch." Mrs. Carter looked at him for a long moment. "You might want to tell your mom to stay out of this," she said quietly. He laughed. "You think she's scared of you?" Mrs. Carter's eyes narrowed. "No. But she should be careful what she starts. I finish things." When Ethan stormed out, she exhaled deeply, for the first time showing the slightest crack in her calm mask. She reached into her desk drawer, pulling out a worn metal tag, a military dog tag. The engraved letters were faded, but still visible. Captain L. Carter, U.S. Army, Special Operations. She stared at it for a second, whispering, "I promised I'd never use it again." Outside the lab, Ethan was already on his phone. "Mom, she's crazy. I want her fired today." And on the other side of that call, Karen was already dialing her lawyer. She had no idea that this time her power wouldn't work. Because Mrs. Carter wasn't just any teacher. She was the one person who had once trained people to take down men like Ethan. Karen showed up at the school like she owned the place, heels clicking across the hallway, sunglasses on, phone in hand. "Already recording. I'm here to report a violent teacher who attacked my son," she announced loud enough for everyone to hear. The receptionist tried to calm her. "Ma'am, please, the principal is in a meeting." Karen slammed her HOA badge on the counter. "Do you know who I am? I represent this district's housing authority. That woman is dangerous and unstable. If you don't remove her right now, I'll have your whole staff written up for negligence." Within minutes, she stormed into the principal's office, dragging Ethan by the arm. He was pretending to look weak, like a victim, but Mrs. Carter could see the smirk he was trying to hide. Karen pointed straight at her. "This woman laid hands on my son. I want her fired and arrested, and if you think your cameras will save her, I've already contacted the HOA's legal team. We'll own this school by the time I'm done." The principal tried to reason, but Karen didn't stop talking, every sentence louder than the last. She wanted a scene. She needed control. Mrs. Carter just stood there quietly. Then she pulled her phone from her pocket and placed it on the desk, screen facing the principal. "Before you make a decision," she said softly, "you might want to watch this." The room went still. The footage showed Ethan grabbing her throat, shoving her back against the lab table, and her reacting in self-defense. The entire video was crystal clear. Audio, angle, everything. Karen's confidence cracked instantly. That could be fake," she stuttered. Mrs. Carter tilted her head. "You sure you want to go that route, Karen? Because I can send this to the local police department. Or," she tapped the screen again, "to the same online community your HOA's been bullying for years." Karen's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" Mrs. Carter's tone stayed calm but cold. "You think people don't talk? You've been harassing residents, filing fake code violations, and threatening to take homes. But you made a mistake, Karen. You picked on the wrong person this time." The principal stood up, voice trembling. "Mrs. Carter, are you saying you have evidence of—" "I have everything," she interrupted. "Names, dates, recordings. And I wasn't planning to use them. But now," she glanced at Karen, "you've made it personal." Karen's fake smile disappeared completely. She grabbed Ethan's arm and whispered harshly, "We're leaving." As they walked out, Mrs. Carter said quietly, "Tell your husband to check his HOA email. I sent him a copy." Karen stopped in her tracks. What did you do?" Mrs. Carter just smiled slightly. Just a small reminder of who's really in charge. And that's when Karen realized this wasn't going to be about her son anymore. It was about survival. The next morning, Mrs. Carter woke up to the sound of pounding on her front door. It wasn't the mailman. It was too aggressive. When she opened it, 3 men in HOA security uniforms stood there, along with Karen's husband, Mark, wearing a smug grin and holding a clipboard. "Mrs. Carter," he said smoothly, "you violated several neighborhood codes: improper fencing, unauthorized vehicle parking, and non-compliant exterior colors. You have 72 hours to vacate the property." She blinked once, calm. "I've lived here for 8 years. That fence was approved by the city." Mark smirked. "City approval doesn't matter here. We run this neighborhood." Behind him, Karen leaned against a car, arms crossed, enjoying every second. "Told you, sweetheart," she said mockingly. "No one messes with me and my family." Mrs. Carter didn't argue. She just studied their faces, noting every small detail, the badge numbers, the cheap walkie-talkies, the body language. None of them were real cops. "All right," she said finally. "If you're serving legal notice, I'll need your signatures." Mark frowned, but signed anyway. As soon as they left, Mrs. Carter closed the door quietly and walked straight to her study. She opened a locked drawer and pulled out an old military laptop, matte black, scratched, but still humming with power. She typed a few commands, connected to a database through an encrypted VPN, and smiled when the screen lit up. FedSec clearance verified. Retired U.S. Army Intelligence Division. She whispered to herself, "You want to play authority games, Mark? Let's see how deep your HOA corruption really goes." Within an hour, she'd traced their entire network, fake LLC registrations, hidden property seizures, and misuse of homeowner funds. What she found next made her freeze for a moment. Karen's husband wasn't just the HOA president. He was laundering money through school grants tied to her own district. Her jaw clenched. "You're stealing from the same school your wife just attacked me in." That evening, she met her old friend, Major Daniels, at a quiet diner off the highway. He looked older, but still sharp. "Didn't think you'd call me after all these years," he said. She handed him a flash drive. "Need this run through federal channels, quietly." He plugged it into his tablet and scrolled. After a few seconds, his expression darkened. "Carter, this isn't small-time HOA stuff. This is federal property fraud. These people could face 20 years. She nodded slowly. "Good. Let's start with Karen.